It's like there's a certain escape velocity that you need to reach before you can break out of that beginner stage. All of the doubts and lack of visible progress that you're going to experience in that period are all holding you back as tightly as possible. Ever since I started my journey to fluency in Spanish 2 years ago, I've met and spoken to tons of people who are learning languages. I've seen some people succeed, and I've seen many people fail. What I noticed about the people who succeeded was that they all had these three things in common. And I believe if I have your answer to the three questions I'm going to ask in this video, I'll be able to predict whether you'll reach fluency or you'll fall off and quit like the majority of people who try to learn a language. I'm going to treat this video as if you just knocked on my door one day and you said, here's my resume, do you think I can learn a language? And I'll tell you yes or no based on how you answer these questions. But before we get to the questions, let me first tell you what I will not be asking you. I'm not gonna ask you how smart you are, how high your IQ score is, or how well you did in high school. And it's not because I don't wanna be rude, it's because I truly don't think that intelligence is a driving factor for your success in language learning. I don't think you need special talent. I don't think you have to be a certain age. I don't think there's any special prerequisite you have to meet to learn a language. If you have time, a pulse, and an internet connection, I believe you can be successful in language learning. Question 1. Do you believe you can learn a language? If you don't believe you can learn a language, you won't be able to. But if you do believe you can learn a language, you can. Everybody has that voice in the back of their head that feeds them doubts. Like, you can't do this, you're not good enough. But for some people, that voice is a lot louder than it is for other people. And if you're prone to listening to that voice and feeding that voice, the voice will grow and grow and grow, and eventually it'll make you quit. The first 50 hours of consuming content in a foreign language is really, really difficult. And I 100% guarantee you it will not feel like it's working. Everyone who started to learn a foreign language has experienced this. The ambiguity, the uncertainty. It feels like you're playing a game of charades and you're really, really bad at it. And this will inevitably generate a ton of doubts. Whether or not input is actually working, and whether or not you're actually cut out for this, things like that. And I promise you, the only people that can cut through the uncertainty and ambiguity of that phase are people who have an unshakable confidence in themselves. The people who say to themselves, well, that person did it, so why can't I? It's like there's a certain escape velocity that you need to reach before you can break out of that beginner stage. All of the doubts and lack of visible progress that you're going to experience in that period are all holding you back as tightly as possible. But once you cross that initial threshold and you begin to feel it click, and you can look back at older videos you were watching and say to yourself, wow, those feel slow, those feel easy. Once you finally get that first iota of validation that you're improving, that's when you get the momentum to continue. And if you can get past that initial escape velocity and push through beginner hell, that's when your odds of becoming fluent in the language rise exponentially. Question 2, do you make your bed every morning? I've spent almost 1,000 hours listening to Spanish input at a level I understood since I started my language learning journey. And if you do the math, that means for the last 2 years, I've averaged about an hour and a half of Spanish input every single day. The only people who can sustain something like that are consistent people, are people who recognize that motivation and excitement can only bring you so far. They're the kind of people who make their beds every morning, who go to the gym even when they don't feel like it, the kind of people who don't let their emotional state dictate the things they're gonna do in the day. Reaching fluency is a simple process of incremental exposure to your target language. And I said simple, I didn't say easy. It's a very, very long journey. For native English speakers trying to learn a Romance language or trying to learn German, I would say 300 hours is my mark for low fluency. And if you're an absolute psychopath trying to learn a language like Japanese or Korean or Chinese, you're looking at double that. And I salute you if that's what you want to do. But no matter what language you're trying to learn, I can promise you that there'll be days, weeks, and months where you're just not super excited about language learning, where listening to content in your target language just won't be super high on your preferred list of things to do for the day. If you're the kind of person who already knows this and has systems in place to keep showing up anyway, even when you're not feeling like it, your odds of fluency are much higher than the naive person who thinks they can ride out excitement all the way to the end. Of all the people I've seen attempt to reach fluency in their target language, this last question was the single most predictive for their success. And for me, I think this was the #1 reason I succeeded in becoming fluent in Spanish. So question 3, do you have a compelling why? We all know language learning is a long, hard road, and every single person has a different reason for wanting to learn a language. But the reality is, some whys, some reasons are just more compelling than others. What is your goal? Why do you want to learn a language? A lot of people, I feel like, think that language learning is just a process of memorizing words, but it's not. When you learn a language, you enter a foreign culture, and that foreign culture kind of becomes your home. And I'm not trying to be poetic. Learning a language can feel like marrying into a family. You're spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours listening to people with completely different perspectives than you, talking about things that you might have actually never heard of in your entire life. So in my opinion, the question, do you want to learn a language, could be rephrased as, do you want to marry Spanish? Do you want to marry German? And when you put it like that, you put the time commitment into perspective. People who learn a language to communicate with their romantic partner or get a new job or move to a different country, these people, every time they consume an hour of input in their target language, they feel like they're one step closer to their ultimate goal. And if you don't have a reason, if your reason is, well, it's just for fun, then you're running a race with no finish line. And I don't want to be misunderstood as saying that's bad or you shouldn't do it. I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just saying that people who I've seen have success are the people with durable, resilient goals. It's my belief now, after seeing successes and failures, that the person with a vision of themselves in their head while they watch content will just do better. And of course, if you know my story, you know this is why I learned Spanish. My girlfriend was from Argentina. She spoke very little English, and I saw myself, I was like, I want to have a conversation with her. I want to have a fluent, deep conversation. And the only way I could do that was by reaching my goals for fluency in Spanish. And I would be lying to you if I said that I thought I could actually become fluent in Spanish without that goal. Without that goal, I'm not sure if I would have become fluent in Spanish. Language learning is not about intelligence. Language learning is about confidence. It's about discipline. It's about seeing a future version of yourself that you really truly want to be. If you can answer yes to all 3 questions in this video, you have my full confidence that you'll be able to get fluent in the language you want to become fluent in. I made this video because it's the exact video that I wanted to watch when I was first starting out. I wanted someone to assure me that the only thing that stood between me as a beginner and someone who was fluent in Spanish, German, French was time. That's it, just time. I'm not special. I don't have any tricks. I also didn't have a nice, convenient platform to find comprehensible input and track my time and get cool analytics about how I was doing. So I built one. Lengualytics is a place where you can discover high-quality, user-sourced, comprehensible input in any language, track the hours you're putting in, and visually see your progress with metrics and graphs. I also just rolled out a new achievement system where you can acquire badges for doing little mini tasks based on consuming input. If that sounds useful to you, find the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Like the video. I'll see you later.